Let's talk about slices in Python. So I've got a string here, A through Z, the alphabet. You might be familiar with it. And if I want a single character from S, I can use square brackets and put an index inside of that. So I can say S of 10, or if I want, I can define a variable. I can say like, I equals 10, and then S of I. They're exactly the same. And I get back one character, the character at index 10, which is, of course, the 11th character because we start counting at 0. But what if I want all of the characters from index 10 up to and not including index 20? For that, I can use a slice. And I can say S from 10 colon 20. Notice that it's from colon 2, where the 2, where the 2 is, up to and not including. Always in Python is up to and not including. That's what I get back. And I get back a new string, completely separate from, disconnected from the original string. I get back a new string. Well, there are all sorts of things that we can do with this slice. So first of all, what if I want from the start of the string until, not including, index 20? So I can say S 0 colon 20, and that works just fine. It's from the beginning, index 0, up to and not including 20. But I can also leave out the initial index. I can say S colon 20, and now it will start still at the beginning there. It's exactly the same as saying 0. It's just a little cleaner and nicer and says I want it from the beginning. So what about the end? Well, if I say S from, let's say, 10 colon, well, what's the maximum index? 26 letters. Maximum index will be 25. So I'll say up to and not including 25. Ooh, that's not so good because it ends with Y. So I have two options here for including the final character. One is to go past the final index. Slices are actually forgiving in this way. I can say S from 10 until 26, and it'll work just fine. In fact, I can even say S from 10 until 2600, and it'll do the same thing. It is totally okay with going past the boundaries, at least the upper boundary on a slice, doesn't bother it whatsoever. Okay, the other way to do it, just leave off the ending index. If I say S from 10 colon, then I get through the end, and it knows that. And so you can actually get a copy of a string with, I say S from the beginning till the end. Great. Well, it turns out there is actually a third argument you can give to the slice syntax, and that's the step size. So if I say here S from 10 colon 20 colon 2, this means start at 10, end before 20, and step size of 2. Sure enough, I get K but not L, M but not N, O but not P, Q but not R, S, and that's where we stop. And that works pretty well. And so I can say that all the time. Now, people who come from a C background, people often ask how to iterate over a string every other character. Now, if they're coming from a C-like language, they're used to using the index. And so if they want to do this sort of thing with every iteration, they just say index plus equals 2 instead of index plus equals 1. But we don't have an index in Python. So instead I could say for one character in S, print one character. That will work, right? But that's all the characters. What if I want every other character? So I can actually say here, colon, colon, 2, right? This means from the start to the end, step size 2. And that's what I get. So you can't tell the for loop to increment its index or its counter by 2, but you can simply iterate over a different string, the string that we get, by applying the slice there. Now, this slice syntax is kind of weird. Slice syntax with colons only works inside of square brackets. So if I want to, I can say, right, what if I want to do this? What if I want to say here, my slice equals like 10 colon 20. This will not work. I can't do this. But I can say slice of 10 comma 20. And then I can say S of my slice. Now notice what's happening here is that we are creating a slice object. And this is the same as saying square brackets 10 colon 20. But this here is translated into this here because we're in square brackets. So anywhere you need to store a slice in a variable, just use the slice built in and it'll work just fine. What else can we say about slices? Well, here's a cool thing. What if I want to go backwards? So I can say S from 20 until 10, and that'll work great, right? Sort of. It started at 20, it said, oh, I'm now greater than equal to 10. I'm going to stop. But instead I can say S from 20 colon 10 colon minus 1. And now it's from 20 to, not including, 10 with a step size of minus 1. And that's how we get the string or part of the string reversed. I can, of course, also say S colon colon minus 1, and then I get the full string reversed. We get a new string, same length, same size as the previous one, just exactly reversed. So that's pretty neat. So slices are great, and slices work not only on strings. I can say here my list equals, I'll say here 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. I can say my list of, 3 colon 5, and it works just fine. I get the items at index 3 and index 4, not including index 5. And all the stuff that we just saw with slices, I can do on a list. I can also do on a tuple. But can I do it on a dictionary? If I say here, D equals A10, B 20, C 30, and I say I want D, I want like a slice of, and we'll say from A to B. And it's going to give me an error here. It's going to say, I have no idea what you want, because there is no key that matches this slice object. It just doesn't work. Dictionaries don't support slicing. I often wish that they did, but they don't. But the error message that we're getting here is after it translates. Well, here I said slice A of B. I could also say D A colon B, and then it'll give me the same error message. Look at this. See, it's trying to translate that into the slice built in, A, B, none, but like that doesn't match it either. That doesn't help, doesn't work. So slices are wonderful, and you should try to use them wherever you can. And I hope this was a good introduction to them. What slicing questions do you have in Python? Let me know here in the comments. I'd love to answer them. In general, come back here often for lots more about Python and pandas and everything in between. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, you know the drill, and I'll be back soon with lots more on these subjects. See you then.